So a couple of the main points that I wanted to make about the junipers, or the Procumbens nana in particular, is the fact that they like their foliage being moistened or watered, or that's where their strength is at. Obviously the roots are important too, but the foliage is just as or more important on junipers. So another thing that I want to do with this one, because I did kind of get most of it all cleaned up already, I just watered the foliage also, so it's a little wet right now. I'm not going to trim off a ton of it. I just wanted to get some space, cut off the stuff that was dead or didn't look so good, so I could create some space for new growth, and so that I could make sure that what was on here had plenty of space for air to stay alive for the winter time. So I think this one is pretty well cleaned out. This branch here is something that I'm not 100% sure that I like on this tree, but generally it sits this way on the bench, or on the post that I have out there where it sits, so I'm not looking at that branch a whole lot, and honestly it's not really harming the tree by being there. It is underneath, like way up under here, so it's not causing any adverse taper or reverse taper. It's not causing any issues. So I don't know if you're looking at it and you're like, wow, why is that branch right there? It's kind of weird. I guess that's why. There's no rhyme or reason for it. Just left it there. This branch, on the other hand, is way up underneath all of this stuff, and I don't know if it takes away or adds to anything at the moment. I've got quite a few branches growing way down right here. I think for now, I'm going to leave all this. Springtime we'll make some decisions whether I want to keep the really low underneath branches and keep it a kind of a squat wide tree, or if I want to grow it taller. I've got plenty of foliage up here that I could allow to grow out, give it a little bit more strength by taking some of this off and let it get taller, let it get a little bit bigger, I guess. I mean, not necessarily bigger, but taller. So I'm not sure if I want to do that, because I don't know if I want a tree that's just growing off this direction. Maybe I'll bring it back and grow it up this way and then grow it up that way, maybe. I don't know. So I'm done with this tree for now, and I have another tree that I want to do some work on. It's also a Procumbens nana, so I'm going to run and grab it, and I'll be right back. And this one, not too long ago, I put it on this rock, and I haven't really got it down off the post, because I think on the video I showed where I put it, it's like a post that's like up this high from where I'm standing. So I haven't really gotten it down and looked at it until just now. Kind of wanted to just leave it, let it grow, see how it did. I can't spin this because it hangs down really low, so I'm gonna go. Bring it up a little bit. Okay, so one thing that I do notice does have a couple of dead branches or dead foliage over here. I'm going to get rid of that stuff. Didn't do so bad with the replant or the repotting. I was expecting a little bit more die off, which I'm really glad it didn't have. But some of these branches are kind of sparse now, because some of the foliage did fall off already. It's always a good thing to keep an eye on that with your junipers, the foliage that dies off, because it's going to constantly have foliage growing and dying and growing and dying. That's just how junipers go. You can have less die off, obviously, if you're taking really good care of it, but it's always going to have some. So it's not bad to have a little bit, but I did just water this one too. And obviously I water the foliage as much as I water the soil. So anyway, I just want to clean this out a little bit here. Create a little bit of space in between some of the branches here. So I really didn't do any styling when I put it in this stone here. A lot of times you can just wiggle the foliage around and all the dead stuff will come out. Like I was telling you with the other one that did die recently. When the foliage dies, it just crumbles. So that's kind of nice because then you can find out where all the bad foliage is and just take it off really nice and easy. Alright, so one of the things also with this tree, planting it in the rock like I did and using the bonsai soil, basically rocks and sand like pebbles. So some of it did wash away over the last couple of months of watering it and raining. We've had a lot of really heavy rain also. So that'll wash away your soil too, so you got to watch out for that. One way to keep it from getting washed away is to put moss on the top of it. Now I have to replace some of the soil, and some of these branches that are going around this stone actually are starting to form to the stone, which is really cool. I like it. I think this is going to be one of those that's really hard to repot when I need to, which I won't need to for quite a while, but eventually I will. I'll need to put new soil in here. A couple of years. Generally about every 2 to 3 years you want to repot your junipers, depending on their health, depending on how fast they're growing, all that. Eventually I will do some deadwood on this tree, but at this point I just really like the way it looks with everything being alive on it. So I'm going to leave it alive because it's an interesting tree that it is. Yeah, I think I really do like this tree. This is pretty sweet. I keep falling, but I want to spin it around. I hope you can see it with all the trees in the background. It's got some crazy foliage, and all of this actually does hang over the edge of the post that I have on, so that is kind of cool too. Brown. So now I'm going to add some more bonsai soil to this. I make my own soil. I get I get stuff from like Home Depots and Lowe's, and I just mix it together. I don't really remember everything that I have in here, but I'm pretty sure it's some kind of gravel. It's really sharp gravel to help make the roots break up a little bit as it's growing, so that they can spread out, get more ramification of the roots. I also have pine bark in it, which I got from some of the pine trees that I have on the property that fell during the hurricane. So I got some of the bark off of those big logs and broke it up really small. And I've got also, it's called Safety Zorb. It's a type of dry sweep for like mechanics to clean the oil up off your floor, and it works really good. It's a type of fired clay, so it absorbs moisture really well, and it holds moisture really well, and it keeps its shape pretty well too. So that's why I use it. Just any cat litter isn't going to work. You don't want the smells, like the smelly cat litters. Obviously, I hope it'd be obvious. You don't want the smelly cat litters, but dry sweep does work. I definitely want to have enough soil on here to allow the roots place to grow too, because currently they are in the root ball, which is doing really good. I mean, the tree is obviously it's healthy, so the roots are doing well where they're at. I just want them to have more space to grow into. I kind of want to fill up this whole cavity in the rock with roots. Make sure it stays in this rock. It seems to be pretty sturdy in here as it is, but just want to make sure. Sometimes doing the really cool concepts with your tree is more time consuming, which sometimes that's why I do bonsais, because of the time that I get to spend with my trees. I just really like watching them grow, looking at them. That's one of my biggest things, I think. Enjoying them growing. You know, I've said it many times. People always ask, how do you make your trees grow faster? Well, keep them healthy, they'll grow. You know, but you don't have to grow them fast. You don't have to grow them fast. Just let them grow. You know, enjoy the process. Enjoy while they're growing. Watch them turn into something great from, you know, a piece of nursery stock or a yamadori that you've collected in your backyard or in the forest. You make sure if you're collecting trees, you can collect them from where you're collecting them. Don't do anything illegal. You don't want to ruin it for people. But yeah, I just love watching them grow. So anyway, I think that's going to do it for this video. Hopefully it turned out well, being cut into 2 pieces. So yeah, hopefully you like and subscribe and tell your friends. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next one. So I did forget one piece. I did want to show you. Done with this tree, so I'm going to move it out of the way, but I wanted to show you the other tree. This is the tree that didn't make it. I did a video on this tree at one point. I really liked this tree. It was a great tree. It did well for a long time, and as you can see, at this point you can tell it's dead. I mean, everything's turned brown. It's been gone for a little while. But as it's not doing well, or as it's dying, it'll still be green. The foliage will still be green, and this one, I mean, you can see it's not completely crumbling yet, so you might think maybe it'll survive at this point, but this one's gone. There's no saving this tree. So like what I was telling you with the foliage just breaking off, it's not breaking off like it should. I kind of make myself look like a liar, but no. So the foliage will break off if it's a drier climate. When it gets to this point, this stuff will just crumble. Here in Florida, it's a moist climate, so this is keeping some moisture to where it's actually holding itself together, which is really new to me. I haven't lost one of these type of trees since I've been out in Florida, so I really honestly didn't know that it would stay on there like it is, which is really interesting. But anyway, if you live in a drier climate, this stuff will just crumble. You'd touch it and it'd fall off into pieces. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that they stayed somewhat green when they've died. So keeping an eye on it and making sure that the soil is the right moisture is pretty important, and keeping enough airflow through it is important. Like I said before, you could keep these things inside, and I know there's going to be a whole bunch of controversy on that, but you could keep these things inside if you had plenty of light and plenty of airflow. You wouldn't want to put it in a direct sunlight window because it would burn it. So having it a little bit away from the window in a room that's bright, but not having the sun baking on it, because like I said, the foliage is where the strength is. So having the sun baking it would not be a good thing. So also having a mister or a spray bottle that you can mist it. So obviously having it someplace where you don't have stuff around it that you're going to damage by misting it, because you're going to want to mist it at least a couple of times a day. Maybe even whenever you just walk by it, just spray it with your mister, and make sure there's plenty of airflow across it. One of the biggest things is the airflow, I'd say, because thinking about how they grow and all that, it just, in my mind, that just makes the most sense. Not having the light baking it and having the foliage stay moist, and also watering the roots as they're needed. Don't overwater it, because then you get root rot and then it dies that way too. So I'd say just keep it outside, because it's a lot more complicated keeping it inside. So anyway, thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.